part of today's event. Like I mentioned earlier, we do have someone very special joining us today. Someone with whom I've had the pleasure of working previously. Yes, she's as tenacious a businesswoman as she is a visionary. Please join me in welcoming Lian, co-founder of Suppagood Collective, actress, mentor, creator, and so much more. Sarah is going to join us today and share her personal business journey with us, talk about all her tricks and her management secrets. So please join me in welcoming Sarah. And to ask her some really difficult questions. No kidding, not difficult at all. Okay, to ask her some questions and to get to know her personal journey, we have our very own Ruben. Come in.
Hello, everybody. Okay, so let's just get started, right? Okay, Sarah, do you want to tell us about what your journey has been like at work?
So my journey at work has been really interesting. When I first started, when I first graduated out of university, I was an actress. I was hosting on television. I was carving myself a niche in the entertainment industry. And so I always associate this recently with the idea of happiness and the 3 different levels of happiness. And so in my 20s, the first level of happiness was my pleasure. It was seeking awards, it's seeking gratification, validation for everything that I've ever done. It was feeling a sense of popularity. So that was, I would say, very much in my early 20s, just focusing on carving a niche for myself, identifying, what my strengths are personally. And then I hit a point probably in my mid to late 20s, and I started this company called Suppagood. And this is where I really explored the second level of my happiness, which was passion. I had done enough in my career where I was working in Hong Kong, Singapore, Canada, Malaysia, and participating in lots of projects and cross-cultural co-productions. And when I was in Malaysia, I saw that there was a gap. I had already been managed by a couple people, but I thought I wanted to create a company that would allow us to be able to work with individuals and help build the trajectory of their careers, because I could see what I could do with mine, and I could see how I could do that for others. So on this next step, it was passion. And passion is when time flies by. Passion is when you love what you're doing. Passion is when you don't even realize you forgot lunch because you're busy taking on pitches and calls and things like that. And now I feel like I'm on this new part of my level of happiness, or this point in my career, and it is my purpose. And this is the 3rd step, or maybe final step, of happiness. And in this step, I unknowingly created this new project out of Suppagood called Supparetreat. And what I do with this is that I take women, so far it's women, I will include men soon, I take women away for a weekend or a couple days or even a few hours, and we love on them. We give them the right tools, the resources. We educate, we equip, and we empower. And I just had one this weekend, and listening to what Rubini was talking about and sharing with you guys all the important steps of what it takes to run a business and looking for financing and things like that. I just had one recently over the weekend where we talked about vision building and goal setting. And it's so much about not just saying, oh, you need to do this, you need to do this, but Supparetreat really helps you figure out the why. Helps you figure out your roadblocks. Helps you figure out what is preventing you from creating that goal. You're like, oh, I want to do this, I want to do this, but it's not just your mind, it's your heart, it's your soul, it's everything in alignment. And so my business journey so far has really taken me on a different path. I mean, I thought I would be like Henry Golding sitting in front of Jimmy Fallon and having an interview, you know? But it's taken me to a different direction. And that's exactly what happens on an entrepreneurial journey. At first it was self-serving, then it was serving others, now it's serving as many people as I can. And so part of my entrepreneurial journey really has been about the generosity and the giving, and having that be a huge part of my strategy.
That's good to hear, and congratulations.
Thank you.
But let's talk about Supparetreat, is that what you said?
Mhm.
All right. How, I mean, at the end of the day, you still have to market it. People still have to know about it. So how did you market this service to people?
How did I market Supparetreat to everyone? I created a website. And I think with the emergence of Facebook and everyone having a Facebook page and liking and things like that, and I understand the importance of that, but I found that the effectiveness of having a website is far greater than being limited to a timeline and a few click-throughs. And I think when you really create a website, you're able to really create the information, the content, and how you want it to be delivered. And I've always loved design. I graduated with a Bachelor of Design in fashion, so totally unrelated. But ever since I was 16, actually even younger, I think 15, I've always dabbled with the internet. And before there was Facebook, there was Friendster. Before there was Friendster, there was MySpace. Before MySpace, there were all these other social networking sites that I've always been a part of. And so to me, creating a website has always been so integral to any of my businesses, even with myself. And so if you're a freelancer, if you're working on your own and you're trying to figure out how do I best get my stuff out, well, for me, I had my own sarahlian.com. That was the first website. And things change, and you start putting different types of content. You get to control the content. And with Supparetreat, it was about creating a website that a lot of people would have access to.
Now, along with Supparetreat and Suppagood and everything that you've been doing, I'm going to ask you a question that was asked the group earlier. What was the hardest question or hardest thing that you had to face while running your businesses?
I think the hardest question that I had to face was, what are you going to do when you fail? You know, because I'm going through my own company audit right now, and I'm trying to figure out how can I maximize efficiency? How can I improve my processes? How can I make this run? And I'm going to have to let go of some people. I'm going to have to make these really uncomfortable decisions, and I'm going to have to tell people that unfortunately we're not going to move forward with you. And I don't know how to do that because I love everybody that I work with. And so I had a conversation with someone yesterday, and she says, what's going to happen when other people are hearing about what's happening to your company and they're going to say stuff? How are you going to face that? And so to me, I'm like, first thing they're going to say is like, che, it was going to happen sooner or later, or all the negative talk that comes in. And so I said to her, I said, yes, to other people it may look like it's a failure, or you know, something isn't right, or you know, I think there's something else going on. But I think for me, to be able to arm myself and say, what are my real values in life? How have I expressed them in my company? And more importantly, how have I executed that so that whoever I've dealt with knows the integrity of my words and the integrity of who I am and what my company stands for. And so I said, you know, of course, unfortunately, these uncomfortable situations have to come up, these conversations have come up, but I know that if anybody were to come up to me, I would be able to stand tall and say, I did this with as much integrity as I could and as best as I could. And so, yeah, sometimes it's facing, oh, I'm such a failure because I couldn't do this, or because I couldn't pull in these numbers, or because my margins are low because of this and that. But I think really then turning it around and shifting it and saying, am I operating from a place of integrity? Is this the best I could do? Or am I trying to cut corners and do that? you know, and so when you're able to stand tall in your decisions, I think nothing can phase you.
I think that's also a very important lesson for all of us, right? It's not always going to be about the money. It's about the values that you stand for as well. Now, with your company, before you started it, when you started it, as it's been progressing, I'm sure you would have had expectations, right? Have your expectations been met, and how do you actually set them?
I realized that a lot of my expectations were on not just myself, but everybody else around me. Because when you are building a company, you think you're gonna have the best teammates that are gonna come in, your employees, you're gonna surround yourself with that. And sometimes when you put those expectations on them, it's so unfair because they don't realize the expectations you have. You can only really control what you can control. So for me, not all the expectations have been met. You know, I've had talents come and go. I've had staff come and go. And it's very difficult. But now it's trying to really draw back and use, you know, whatever 1 month left that we have before the new year to sit down and strategize and really think, you know, how can I adjust? How can I mitigate these issues? How do I bring it back to myself? How do I create a system, or how do I create an environment so that my employees can win? And I think that's really how I look at things, especially when I put expectations on them. It's like, how, if I were in their position, how are they able to win? How are they able to be completely satisfied with their job? What other tools can I do for them? And in return, be able to see the progress and be able to see the growth and be able to see, you know, the success and the expectations being met.
Oh, thank you for that as well. Now moving on to the topic of women, right? What do you think really empowers a woman?
I think love, leading with love, empowers women. I think women understanding that they have a safe space or that they're feeling supported empowers them. I see it firsthand. So this weekend we had a retreat called Supparetreat Soar, and it was our life design series where we help you chart your path for the next 10 years, right? I had Frida Liu from BFM that came in, and she's one of the coaches. And each of our coaches came in a different aspect, whether it was mind, whether it was body, whether it was your soul, whether it was finances. And I could see how these women were equipping each other. And I could see how other women were coming in and saying, I have no idea what you're saying. I am so lost. And seeing another woman step in and say, let me take you. Let me help you. And at the end of the circle, at the end of the day, we're all like crying because we're all just like so happy for each other, but not ever feeling like anybody was there to dim anyone's light. So I think unfortunately for women, for some reason, we feel like there's only 3 spots for us. There can only be this, 2 CEO women or this and that, and then there's this scarcity mindset that we have, that we have to compete against one another. And I think once we're able to slowly knock that down, or knock that belief down that there can only be one woman, or she's the only this, or she's the only that, only then are we able to really empower. And you empower by showing them that, hey, I want you to do this too. I want you to succeed. And so I wrote this a long time ago in one of my blogs, and I said, I stand in a place, maybe I'm in a place of privilege, or maybe I've seen things, or maybe I have a bit more foresight now, but I felt that even in my competitive state, it was based out of insecurity. It came out of insecurity. Oh, I don't want her to get this job because I want to get it, Oh, and if she gets it, I'll be like, her English is not that good, or she's not as pretty, or she's not as this, and I start hitting her down. But I realize what's happened now is that when things come to me, and if I feel like they don't really fit me, and sometimes it's a big chunk of change, I'm okay to pass it on to someone else that I say, actually, I think you should work with her. She's amazing. And I found that when I'm able to vouch for another woman, when I'm able to support another woman, when I'm able to say, she's really good, you should hire her, I found that it's come back in tenfold. I found that people are saying, wow, you're not being competitive. Actually, she was really great to work with, but I have a new project now and I want you to work on this one. And I found that when I was able to give, if I was able to share, it didn't take away from who I was. And I think that's the worry, is that, oh, if they take this idea, then I'll be nothing. No, you're still something. You're still you. You're still celebrated. There's still no one else like you, whether you're a woman or whether you're not, but giving and offering will always benefit you. And it's that exchange of energies, it's the exchange of ideas, it's the exchange of resources, and that being able to have, I think, integrity or good values in the way you do things allows people to recognize that and say, hey, she was being very honest. This is someone I can trust.
How many challenges have you faced? Have you faced a lot of challenges with gender bias in particular? I mean, like female against female, male against female. Have you faced a lot of it in your career?
I would say because a lot of my career has been out of the entertainment industry, there's always a part where, oh, we'd rather have a woman, we'd rather have a man. And sometimes that's kind of a challenge. And I think also because my personality is that I'm a very, what we would say, like a masculine female. So I'm very direct, I'm very out there. I've also been raised in North America, so I have a very, I would say like a very masculine approach to the way I am. And so a lot of things I don't even see and I don't even look at. But I will say that the gender aspect or the challenge aspect is something I shared recently, and it's just the perception of what a woman is and what a woman looks like and things like that. And so I was recently in Singapore doing a modeling job, and my agent had sent me messages, and she says, client wants you to lose weight, client wants you to lose weight, client wants you to lose weight. I know. And you know, a lot of my friends were looking at me and they're like, what, you're crazy, like you know, you're already like this size and whatnot. And for me, because I've been so conditioned in my industry, I just thought, no, it's fine, I'm not taking it personally, that's what they want us to look like. But then I thought, again, why do we need to look like that to sell a condo or to sell this or to sell that? You know, why is it that aspirational lifestyle has to be seen in this regard? And I think more so with women and less with men is that women need to look a certain way and they need to be presented a certain way, and that's so much more a part of what their resume looks like and how it is than a man. And so I think in terms of gender bias, yes, that's definitely what I see, and that's a challenge that, you know, I just faced a couple weeks ago.
Well, in terms of what you just said, I think it happens a lot, especially in the entertainment industry, right? Which is why I think, like when Keanu Reeves just started dating that lady, everyone's like, wow, she's so old, and then you had a whole bunch of other people who came in and said, it's nice to see him dating someone around his own age, because what the expectation is that he'll be dating a 21-year-old. And I think this is where women probably face a lot of challenges. You know, the ageism is right? My next question is, what kind of impact, positive impact, do you want to have, especially on Asian women in Malaysia?
I think specifically with Asian women, it's the conditioning that we've had with our families. You know, you're supposed to be a certain age when you get married. You're supposed to be like this. You're supposed to be submissive. And some religions also state, you know, you have to submit to your husbands, and so you need to ask for permission. And a lot of that, and even within the school systems, is that teachers like, you shut up, you know, you have to listen to me. You can't question. And so one of the things that I would love to challenge is for you to always ask questions, even when it seems like it isn't the right thing. There's nothing wrong with having curiosity. There's nothing wrong with asking. There's nothing wrong with trying to get more insight. You're asking, you're not telling. You're not making statements. You're just really trying to fuel your knowledge and understanding, because knowledge is power. And I guess the impact that I want so far in terms of the purpose that I've had is I align very deeply with Supparetreat. And Supparetreat really believes in helping women succeed in all facets of their life. So it's not just about your work. It's not just about your family. It's not just about your friends. It's about your faith. It's about your finances, your friendships and any relationship that you have with food, with money, with power. And for me, it's about creating that legacy, is that whoever I've ever met, whoever I've ever touched, I want to know that I've been able to have them ask themselves something else about them that they've never asked before. And so, what I want to say to Asian women is understanding, who you are in the context of where you are, whether it is in your communities, your workplaces, your homes, your relationships, is to really dig deep and figure out who you are, and that you are always allowed to ask.
Next question. For women who want to pursue their dreams, right? What key advice do you have for them? I mean, given that you've experienced so much on your own, I mean, you would have faced a lot of hardships. Starting a business is not easy, right? So what would you want to tell them?
I've had the privilege of being able to wake up and decide what I want to do. And I acknowledge that I've always had that privilege, but even though I've had that privilege, it's never been easy. And so if you want to really pursue your dreams, really give yourself the time and space to plan it and figure out what it is. And then you start asking why. Why do I want to do this? What is it about this dream that I want to pursue? Why do I want to do this so badly? And to start, essentially what this initiative is all about, and is basically just to figure out, okay, who do I need to speak to? Who can I have brunch with? Who can I talk to for a lunch hour, and just maybe shadow them? And before you jump into your dreams, before you leave your law firm or business career or whatever to go make cupcakes or to design websites, really start to make the right steps into doing that. And sometimes following your dreams may not always mean that you need to quit everything now and go full steam ahead. Sometimes following your dreams may take you 10, 15 years. Sometimes it may just be that one step you're going to do today. What am I going to do today that's going to help me towards my goal? And not just that, what are my goals? Have I written this stuff down? And have I actually figured out what it is? How many goals do I need in order for me to reach where I want to reach? And I think using these goals as sort of a gauge to see how far you've come. And not always necessarily putting a time limit. By this year I need to do this. Those are sometimes KPIs that make us feel like we're failing, because we're like, I didn't do that. I didn't read 20 books like I said I was going to do. But writing them down allows you to see where you are in that space of time, and saying, interesting, 2 years ago this is where I was headed, and this is what I wanted for myself, and using that as sort of your compass. So if you want to follow your dreams, I say do it, because anything that you do with passion, with purpose, is always going to take you to a place that you've never realized that you could go. And taking that step forward and doing something and making that decision for yourself is always going to help fuel your soul and fill your heart, And so I do encourage everyone, not just women, to really think about where they want to go, what they want to do, but don't feel the sense of urgency that you have to do it now. We with our retreat over the weekend, we talked about 5-year plans, and that we underestimate. We underestimate what we can do in a year, overestimate what we can do in a year, and underestimate what we can do in 10 years or 5 years. So think about what you want to do, what your goals is, what's your dream, and if that's your dream, how are you going to get there, and all the different steps that it's going to take, and realizing, can this be done in a year? Can this be done in a few years? And just having that course, being able to chart that course and just saying, let's see where this goes, your heart's gonna sing.
I just want to check, do we have time for one more question? All right. Times have changed a lot from how it used to be, right? In the past, women are told, okay, you have to be either this, or you can only work in this industry or that industry. You have to get married, you have to have children. Now it's a little different. Women are allowed to have careers and climb up the corporate ladder. Can a woman have it all? The big family, the big job, and have everything aligned at the same time?
I think women can have whatever they want. Can I get a round of applause for that, please? Women can have whatever they want. Just as men, just as anybody. You can have whatever you want. When you say have it all, it's whatever you determine it all being. You don't have to get married. You don't have to have children. You don't have to have a crazy career. There's some people that are just happy not doing that much, having a safe, secure job in their apartment and, a couple cats. They love that, or not having to worry about bringing work home. And they're just, whatever is happening at their job, they just do whatever they want at their job. I think women can definitely have it all. It just depends what all is. But yeah, I think we've really come a long way from when we were allowed to work or allowed to have these jobs, allowed to have certain types of professional careers. But yeah, I believe so much in the power of women. I believe that we have the opportunity. I believe that the modern day woman really gets to choose, and we really have that choice, and we should continue supporting that in whatever choices they make, in whatever age, in whatever size, in whatever image it is for anyone. That's your decision, that's your life. And if you're not happy with it, then do something about it. Be the hero in your own story. Don't be the victim. And if there's something that you don't want, take it out. If you don't like that, draw a boundary. Make rules for yourself. Make these choices for yourself. And ultimately, you'll get what you want.
Well, that was really inspiring. So thank you so much for your time here today. Does anyone have any questions? Don't have to feel shy. One question, that's it. None? Okay, well, Malaysian crowds generally quite quiet. But thank you so much once again for your time, and best of luck in your journey forward as well. Cheers.